yelling, booing, and angry demands. Congressman Mike Flood, the latest Republican member of Congress to face anger from voters back home. Anger over Doge, Ukraine, and tariffs. It all went down in a rural red district of his.
My understanding that your wife had breast cancer and went through diagnosis, treatment, recovery, and is doing well. I appreciate that for you. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I lost a sister to breast cancer. You, Mike Flood, have decided to capitulate your job of monitoring the funding of places that do research for breast cancer. I don't see how you can stomach that you did that, because you are cutting the rug out from other. You're cutting the rug out from under future scientists who might develop new treatments, new diagnoses, so that my daughter, when she's your wife's age, might not get the most up-and-coming research available to her. You are disfunding NIH, Johns Hopkins, the National Science Foundation, and you can't put that on anybody but yourself and your GOP colleagues. I would like to know how you personally stomach that decision. Thank you.
Anybody that has been through a close relative or a friend or a family member with cancer knows how deeply personal that is. And I have had that experience with my own wife. So yes, I do know what that process is like. Here's where we're at. We're at the dawn of a new presidential administration. The 119th Congress is about 60 days in. We have the Department of Government Efficiency that is looking at and is some, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now, the sad part about this is a Republican in Nebraska. The sad part about this is whatever Republicans that voted for him that gave up their seat to these paid activists, these paid contrarians that are booing and clapping. All right, shame on y'all. Why aren't y'all at this meeting? He represents your district, right? So the narrative that CNN is trying to set is that most of the country is upset with what Donald Trump is doing. Now, you believe polls if you want. I believe polls, all of them, the good and the bad ones. The polls say 70% of people in the country agree with what Donald Trump doing. Even bigger than that, this is his second term as president. And regardless of what ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, you know, the biggest media outlets in this country as far as news go, the biggest, the Associated Press, regardless of what any of them say, when you vote him in for a second term, basically what they saying is, I want more of that. Prior to the election, he said, this is what I'm going to do, he's doing just that. And the people overwhelmingly voted him in. Again, go by the voting numbers. Democrats would tell you he barely won. And just like if you believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes. All right, that was more than Barack Obama got. Yeah, you believe that if you want to. Overwhelmingly, they voted him in. What was it? And this is Stephen A. Smith, which I don't like Stephen A. Smith, but he said something that was fact checked. he said just about every county in the United States move more toward Republican ideas. Now, that don't mean they switched. A lot of them switched, but some of them shifted. And what that means is in the future, they're going to switch to more of the Republican agenda. So this is a farce. CNN has been doing this for months now, like saying, kind of like saying, this is what you voted for? What Donald Trump's doing? As a conservative myself, yes, I definitely voted for what he's doing. He is making cuts to these entitlement programs with the assistance of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. But it has no effect whatsoever on direct payments or services to people. It's cutting off those people that they found in Social Security. They are 250 years old. If you find me one 250-year-old person, that'll be the only one. Even with modern science today, nobody can really live past and like 120 at the most, 111. When back in the days, life expectancy overall was like 40 years old. That's why years ago, people had a lot of children because they were at risk of losing, a decent number of the children. It's not like that today. So yeah, he cutting all type of stuff from all these programs. Democrats will lead you believe, your grandmother who's on Social Security, she worked all her life for her, she is not going to get her payments. No, he said several times, and the proof is in the pudding right now. You don't know one person who hasn't got their Social Security payment check or anything like that, or any services have been taken away from them since Donald Trump has been in office. They just lie. And then the Democrats outright make up stuff. And then after that, they live in complete hypocrisy.
It is looking at the funding that's available for research, and in some cases that funding has either been identified or suspended or is on hold or has been terminated. I don't believe we're in a process today at this moment to say in any way that medical research funding is going away. I support medical research funding. If it is currently paused, if there is
and just by the behavior of this crowd, more conservative / Republican crowds, they don't act like this. Only Democrats and liberals and progressive people act like this. They're not interrupting and all this type of stuff. A fair-minded thinking person would say, okay, you cutting this, you cutting this, you cutting this, you cutting this. Why? And one would listen and see if it makes sense. Instead, no, just be a disruption because, the cameras are there and the narrative that CNN is spinning and the money that the Democrats are paying these people to do these things, protest.
Is a concern, we take those up individually, and ultimately where we need to go is to a balanced budget. There's a lot of people in this room that don't support what DOGE is doing. But for the first time, we are making some progress. How can you be against a balanced budget? How can you be against a balanced budget? All right.
See, that's a Democrat talking point. And that don't tell you that these people are Democrats. Republicans and conservatives don't say this type of stuff. Tax the rich. The rich have to pay their fair share. when in reality, rich people pay most of the taxes in this country. And they say that Trump and what he's doing is trying to do something to tax cuts for only the rich, but they have yet to explain how is that even possible. Rich folks find loopholes all over the place, but they still pay the majority of the taxes. And in my opinion, if the rich folks who are job creators, if nothing else, if they could pay less taxes and have the ability to hire more people, I'm down with that. I don't want to pay taxes, and I'm way far from rich. You want to pay taxes? Don't nobody want to pay taxes. We're really not even supposed to be paying taxes. Paying taxes is not a law. But let you go to IRS and they come get your ass like it is the law. And that just it trips me out. Is like nobody wants to pay taxes. Nobody at all.
All right.
Democrat.
Danny, you've seen some of these town halls, so now you're able to
here
say
we go.
what one looks like versus
narrative?
another. So much frustration in the auditorium where you are. What did people have to say?
Look at the glee and the enthusiasm on her face. You've seen some of this. Yeah, these are Democrat paid plants. Yeah, it's easy to see.
To Congressman Flood.
In this particular town hall, Aaron, people had a lot to say to Congressman Flood, but just for some perspective, we're in Nebraska's 1st congressional district. This is a district that President Trump won by 55% of the vote. Congressman Flood actually did better than Trump back in 2024 with 60% of the vote. And yet, as you noted, as you just played, there was still quite a lot of frustration. A lot of topics covered in this room tonight: the border, tariffs, Canada, the rule of law, a lot of foreign policy as well. And while, make no mistake, there were a lot of Democrats here and folks who would not have otherwise voted for Congressman Flood or certainly President Trump. There were certainly...
See, we can't let that just slide past. I just said that there were a lot of Democrats there. What he's not going to say is the majority people are Democrats. I'll say it again. If there's no bigger trigger than it was mostly Democrats, is based on their behavior, how they interrupt. And it's based on these chants. Tax the rich. Only Democrats say that.
Republicans here as well who I spoke with who said they had voted for this Republican congressman and they were still concerned about what this administration has been doing. And I'll say, Aaron, the biggest amount of boos and jeering that we heard really came with the subject of Elon Musk, with the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. A lot of people fearful that there would be cuts to the VA, also cutting of Medicare and Medicaid. Take a listen to how Congressman Flood responded to at least some of this, because he really stood by Elon Musk and Doge.
There's a lot of people in this room that don't support what Doge is doing. But for the first time, we are making some progress. How can you be against a balanced budget? How can you be against a balanced budget? All right.
So yeah, this is so obvious to those of us who have been watching this and see what they're doing. But again, the narrative that CNN is doing is just, it's not true. If you like this video, if you're on Facebook, like this video, share this video, comment on this video. Go over to YouTube, Mr. Info 5000. Peace.